so let's get into the first chapter, which is just going to be an introduction to what economics is, and we'll also talk about the difference between micro and macro, and the circular flow diagram. So, what is economics? Well, the first thing about it is not primarily about money or finance or business or mathematics. It's much more than that. It's really just the study of how humans make decisions in the face of scarcity. So basically, when you're trying to make decisions to make you the most happy, or if you're a business that you're trying to make the most profits, or if you're a government and you're trying to grow your economy to better your standard of living, things like that. That's what economics is associated with. It's how we make decisions based off of scarcity. Now, the real definition, can be a little bit broad. So what I like to say is that economics is how people satisfy their unlimited wants with their limited resources. Because that's really what we're trying to do, right? We have all of these wants from the individual decisions, from business and governments. Our wants are just unlimited. But we only have a limited amount of resources that we could use. So scarcity is when your wants for goods and services exceed what is available. And so basically, if we had just had an unlimited amount of everything, we wouldn't really have to make decisions, right? It would just be simple. You could do whatever you wanted because everything is unlimited. But economics shows us because we don't have unlimited amounts of everything, we have to figure out how we can allocate or how we could make the best choice for us. So our wants could be anything from food, shelter, clothing, transportation, healthcare, entertainment. Okay, these are our wants, and they are classified into either goods or services. Now, goods are the things that are tangible, so things that you can actually touch. So food you can have, that's a good. Shelter, you can touch it, you have some tangible thing that you have, that's a good. Services are things that you can't really touch, they're intangible, but you are receiving some sort of benefit from them, such as healthcare. So your doctor does a test on you and they diagnose you as you're healthy or you're sick, right? They are providing you a service. Same thing with entertainment, like you're watching a movie and you're benefiting from it, right? You can't really touch what you're seeing, but you are benefiting from it, so it's a service. Now the resources, how we could create these goods and services, are really classified down into these four different categories. Labor, land, capital, and entrepreneurship. Those are the four main things. Everything that you could think about as a good or service really boils down to one of these four categories: either land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. Okay. Some examples of scarcity are, remember, we only have 24 hours in a day. We do have people that are going hungry, homeless, and we also have people that are in need of healthcare. These things like that, that's where we have scarcity. I want to give you an example of how the factors of production or the resources work. So I'm going to use an example of a coffee shop. So for a coffee shop, what do you need? Well, you're going to need the espresso machine, right? The actual equipment. You're going to say, well, we also need the actual coffee beans. Maybe we need some milk, some syrups, right? So we have the things to actually make the coffee, but we also need the actual person doing it. So we're going to need the labor as well. And then finally, if you're thinking about an actual coffee shop, right, that's a business. And so that's where the entrepreneur comes in. Right? So these are the things that you would need to have a coffee shop. So what is the espresso machine in terms of the resources? Well, that is going to be the capital. Now, I want you to think of capital as things that are non-human that you are using to produce things. Okay, so basically machinery, tools, those things that you have that are actually you're using to produce goods, right? You're using capital as a factor of production. Beans, milk, syrups, all of these things, right? They come from the earth, right? So we get beans from the actual coffee tree, the coffee cherry. Milk we get from cows, and then syrups, you get from sugar, and you get some other ingredients as well. All of those really come from the earth. So that is going to be our land. We also have labor, and then finally we have the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is a factor of production, because think about all the different coffee shops, and they all have their different spin on how they want to sell coffee, right? Some are more of a hipster vibe, some are more calm, some are more family oriented with friendly and kids, all that. So there are different ways that the entrepreneur provides these services, right? So that's really where it comes down to the four factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay. Next, we'll talk about choices and how that works.